Happy Friday!
Happy Blinking Friday.
Wait, is that like in place of a curse word?
No, actually, it was actually looking at your shirt. Look at your sweater. People are wondering if they're really seeing that or if they're seeing things.
I always said I'm like a walking disco ball.
This is a true
It
statement.
might be true and literal.
Wow. This gives the Christmas spirit a whole new meaning.
I like to distract people as much as possible. See if they're really listening.
See, there you go. If we can't get comments on this, then we're lost.
Someone has to see it first.
This is exactly...
Should I turn it off?
I mean, probably.
I don't want to really distract people.
If you want people not listening to you.
They don't listen anyway.
It's true.
It's true.
It's true.
We're going to go rogue this week, aren't we?
We are. Where are we going?
Sorry, date nighters.
There we go. Out of mark.
Out of mark for a moment.
Taking a left.
Maybe longer. Who knows?
All right. People are
Proverbs.
They're actually going to get some insight into what happens in our world.
They're going to see real live Bible study.
There you go. Real live. This is what happens.
Yep.
Are you ready?
I guess.
We're going to Proverbs.
Yeah.
Proverbs what?
16.
Chapter 16. Which is good because this is December 16th.
Not for them.
Nope. It is for us.
It's like the 24th. It's Christmas Eve.
Ooh, look at that. Happy Christmas Eve.
I don't know if this is going to be a good Christmas Eve.
This is going to be fantastic.
Merry Christmas Eve.
I could already preach it.
I hope it looks like this at your house.
That's exactly right. That would be wonderful.
It's really pretty.
Taking a walk.
It's at my house.
Yeah?
We can go walk in the snow, or are you going to throw me in a snowbank?
I plead the fifth. I would never throw
Good thing I blink, because then they'll find me when they drive by.
That's right.
They'll be like, what's that blinking thing in the snow?
I would pay our good friend Robbie to throw you in the snow.
I don't think you'd have to pay him, but... or anyone, for that matter.
Probably true.
Pretty sure people would line up and volunteer to throw me in the snowbank, yeah. For sure.
There you go. It's a new Christmas activity.
Oh, good. Yeah, throw summer in a snowbank.
Summer throwing.
Is that like midget tossing?
There you go. Good. I'm
not going to talk about that. It's bad.
All right. We don't need to give people any more ideas.
I don't. Yeah, no. Okay. So, should we read the Bible now?
Let's do it.
All right.
All
so,
right.
I'm just going to start at the beginning.
Yippers.
We'll see what happens, kids.
Okay.
We have not looked at this ahead of time. I mean, we have before in our lives, but...
Yeah. Not today.
No, actually, we never do, so no different. The preparations of the heart in man, and the answer of the tongue is from the Lord. All the ways of a man are clean in his own eyes, but the Lord weigheth the spirits. Commit thy works unto the Lord, and thy thoughts shall be established. The Lord hath made all things for himself, yea, even the wicked for the day of evil. Every one that is proud in heart is an abomination to the Lord. Though hand join in hand, he shall not be unpunished.
Yeah. Well, we could have stopped at verse 1, but I was very kind right there.
Mm-hmm.
What are you thinking?
I don't know.
Here's what I'm thinking. There's the way of man, and then there's the way of God.
Mm-hmm.
And those two things are consistently colliding, right?
Mm-hmm.
There is what we think, what we feel, what we do, what we hear, all of those things in our world, right? I think this ties in tremendously well on Christmas Eve. I think this is a great Christmas Eve story, right? Yeah. The fact that there was a way. I mean, think about this. On Christmas Eve, right? A whole world was doing their normal. Mm-hmm. A whole world was doing their plans, going through life the way they had gone through it for all of this time, right? For thousands of years. Life's just continuing on. And all of a sudden, God decided to intervene on one night and come up with a plan that was solely his, not ours, right? We were living in a world that was stamp approvalness, right? Right, where we come up with our plans and we say, God, I'm going to so-and-so's house today. You need to just make it a good thing. Right? We never ask God, should I go to so-and-so's house today? We tell God, I'm going to my good friend's house today, and you need to give me opportunities, and you need to give me wisdom, and you need to give me strength, and you need to give me discernment, and you need to give me favor, and you need to give me all of the things to go over to this. But I'm telling you what I'm going to do. Right? We wake up and we tell God, I'm going to go to work. I'm going to go to church. I'm going to go do this. You can come along if you want, God. And a whole deal is just bless me. As I go to work, I'm going to do my work. I'm going to do my thing. I'm going to have my conversations. I'm going to do all this stuff. You just tag along with me, God. And maybe, hey, if there's an opportunity, then maybe. But it's got to be the right opportunity. It can't be at the lunch table because there's too many ears. It can't be here because I'm not allowed to talk about God at the workplace like this. So maybe in the parking lot, but Lord, then I'm in a hurry to get home. And like we come up with our own plans, is what it says. Right? Mine says, the plans of the heart belong to the man. God, here's what I'm going to do today. I love what the ESV says, because it says, but the answer of the tongue is of the Lord. Right? But God controls certain aspects, right, of what we do and how we do it. Mm-hmm. This is me waiting for insight.
I know. Well, you wanted to do this.
Uh-huh.
I'm stuck.
Great. Where?
I'm just in a... I don't know. I don't know. I really don't. I'm stuck in a weird way.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel... dread. Honestly, I don't have words.
Mm-hmm. Why?
Because this is sad. I don't know. I think we're so deceived, but we don't fight it.
Mm.
You know, like we just give up.
Mm-hmm.
We get deceived. You know, the enemy does something. The enemy tries, and we just take it. We just take it because it's too hard. It's too confusing. It's too stressful.
Mm-hmm.
To claw your way out of it. Like it's hard. It sucks every day. So most people just punt.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then God gives them over to themselves, you know? And it's this, before you know it, you think you're right.
Mm-hmm.
Because you've just turned it all off. Everyone that is proud in heart is an abomination to the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm sorry, I don't have a lot of words. I'm just...
So we look at this, and we were talking earlier today about the Christmas story, right? We were talking about Mary. And you look at Mary as let's give her lots of credit. Let's make her a 15-year-old girl, right? You look at her as a 15-year-old girl, and an angel of the Lord appears to her and says, blessed are you, highly favored among women, right? Whatever version you have. An angel says, hey, you've been chosen by God, Mary. Can imagine in that moment the excitement, right? If you could prolong that moment, if you could draw it out, right? Just that moment right there. God sends an angel to tell you that you're blessed and that you are favored. Right? We would all love that. I would love that right now. I'd love for an angel to walk through the door, appear right in our room, and just look at us and say, hey, you guys are blessed. right? You are favored. God looks down highly favoring you, right? And then the rest of the Christmas story kicks in, because what happens next is God reveals to Mary that his ways are not our ways. He gives her an assignment that, again, I think we think she was oblivious, but she wouldn't have been oblivious. He was about ready, this angel, to tell her, you're going to be pregnant with no help from a man. She knows exactly what that means, exactly what that is going to mean to her, right? Now, again, just because God says it doesn't mean that people are going to respond to it in a great way. Right? Just because God says, hey, you're going to get that promotion, that doesn't mean you get to walk into your workplace and tell your boss he's going to go because you're going to take his job. That's not. Lots of people have been told that by God, hey, you're going to be here, but they have to wait a long time and go through the process to get there. Yeah. Right? So again, Mary would have known all of this. But Mary, I love what you just said. Like, Mary had to choose to fight. She had to choose to fight to allow God's plan to work in her life. Right? She had to fight through what everybody was going to say. She had to fight through what she was going to feel and think and say. Because you know what? There are moments where we're really excited about being called by God. Great things happen and we're really excited. But for the majority of my life, it's not so much excitement being called by God. It's more loneliness. It's more dread of like, I get to go face this again. It's more work. It's more do hard things. It's more fight the hard battles. It's more all of that stuff when we follow God's plans, right? But you have to have stick-to-itness, like this is it. Mary, the end of the Christmas story is that Mary, not the end of the Christmas story, but the end of this time with the angel, Mary says, let it be as you say. That's the response that God was waiting for Moses.
Right.
That's the response that God was waiting for Abraham. That's the response God was waiting for David.
Wait, are you saying the girl did it better?
I'm saying that multiple girls did it better, like Ruth, like Esther. Esther had the same opportunity, did she not? Hey, maybe God's called you for such a time as this.
Are
maybe
girls tough, maybe?
Maybe Deborah thinks so, right? There's a whole bunch of people in the Bible, women, right? Rahab, all of these people, God said, let's do something crazy. And they said, let it be as you say. Let's do it. Let's do it. No matter what it costs, right? Let's do this, right? And that's exactly what Proverbs is telling us right here. Like, listen, there's a way that's going to seem right to you, but if you let him, God will control your tongue. Mm-hmm. God will give you the words. God will tell you what to say, when to say it, right? But the proud person, and I love how you put this in, the proud person says, you know what? I don't want to fight. I want to make a compromise. And then they take that compromise and they make it as truth. They make it right. They don't want to fight for their relationships. They don't want to fight for their job, for their kids, for their church stuff. They don't want to fight through what the enemy has done. They punt. But
make up their own story.
But we don't want, somehow we have to make it so that punting is okay.
Well, everyone does it.
So we punt and then we say, but it's the right thing to do. Right? I love it when we analyze football games. When you punt, you're playing not to lose. You're playing
You're not playing to win. You're not being risky. You're not being bold.
Right. We're playing to say, hopefully we'll get another chance.
Hopefully we'll get a couple points.
Right. But punting is always where we're agreeing, let's go on the defense. The enemy wants us to punt. He always wants us to punt. Mm-hmm. Right? And he makes emotional scenarios, and he makes financial scenarios, and he makes physical scenarios that get us to think punting and giving in is the right thing to do to take care of somebody, or the right thing to do to take care of ourselves. Right? That's what he's attempting to do.
I'm not a punter.
You most certainly are not a punter. Right? But you also have and are and will. You felt the weight of that.
Oh, yeah. But I'm going to die fighting.
Sometimes when you don't punt, it doesn't work out the way you want it to work out.
No, that really works out the way I want. But again, I know what God said.
Uh-huh.
God said that's how it is.
Uh-huh.
Guess what? When you punt, it doesn't work out the way you really want either. Really, right?
No,
Are those people getting what they want? And then they get this, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Right? He made the wicked for the day of evil. Yeah, that sounds pleasant.
Yeah.
Right?
I love
Hand in hand, he will not be unpunished. Yeah, they're going to get what they want.
I love that verse because it says, for the Lord has made everything for his purpose. When we think of everything, that's everybody. That is everything, and that's every situation. Mm-hmm. Right? So every situation that you're going through, God says, I've made it for my purpose. I'm allowing it for my purpose. Mm-hmm. It can work for my purpose. But the problem is we look at the situation and we get so scared. Oh my gosh, it's 4th and 15. We've got to punt. Right? Oh, we've got to do these. I said, God's looking at us and he's asking us to never let go. Right? He said, no matter what it looks like, Andy, no matter what it feels like, no matter what you perceive, no matter what you hear, no matter what you feel, never, ever let go. Don't do it. Right? Stick to itness. It is easy to think that we're not punters, but the enemy will tailor make situations. It is exactly what he did for Job. It is exactly what he tried to do for Mary and Joseph. Like, punt Joseph, punt Joseph, punt Joseph. Right? Like, look at this. She's pregnant. You know how women get pregnant. You're not a dumb man. You know how they get pregnant.
It's impossible.
That's right. Punt. Right? And so Joseph, he's ready to do that, but he's going to do it in a nice way. Mm-hmm. Right? Hey, I'm going to divorce you quietly. Right? That's punting. Even when we do it in a nice way, we give up on people in a nice way. We give up on a dream, on a promise, we give up and think that we're doing the right thing.
So that made me think of verse 6, which we didn't read yet, but
read it. By
mercy and truth, iniquity is purged, and by the fear of the Lord, men depart from evil. Mm. So, I was just thinking of Joseph. He could listen to all that, clearly there's only one way to get pregnant. That's impossible, right? That's the evil talking to him, right? That's the evil telling him, get rid of her, leave her, stone her, whatever, whatever they're supposed to do. And the angel could even come, tons of people, right? The angel would come and they still would be like, okay. And not believe it. Mm-hmm. It's only by fear of the Lord that you listen, that you hear the angel, that you hear that voice and you listen and you hearken. You have to have a fear of the Lord. It's the consistent message now for the last week and everything we're reading and everything we're talking about. No fear of the Lord equals punting and pride and doing right in your own eyes and all the things. Being wicked, it's by mercy and truth, iniquity is purged. Mm-hmm. And by fear of the Lord, men depart from evil.
Yep. Well, and again, here's the problem. When you keep reading down, right? Read verse 7 and 8 for me, and 9.
When a man's ways please the Lord, he maketh even his enemies to be at peace with him. Better is a little with righteousness than great revenues without right.
Mm-hmm. And 9.
A man's heart deviseth his way, but the Lord directeth his steps.
Okay, so out of this whole chapter, that's the most famous verse, right?
Yeah.
The idea that we sit down in the morning, we plan out our day.
Mm-hmm. And God goes.
But God says, "Hey, I'm going to adjust, right?" And we have a choice to make, right? Are we going to follow that adjustment? Are we going to do what God wants, even if it's a little righteousness? right? Even if it's just a little thing. We plan our day out, want big days. Down here, we want to do 20, 30 videos. You know, like like we got all these people down here. And some Thursdays we've done 5 or 6 videos.
Yeah.
Right? And we spend a lot of time talking, or a lot of time praying, or a lot of time listening, right? We haven't spent the time doing what we say we're going to do, which is the videos, right? We're doing other stuff with that. But again, is that me following my plan or me adjusting to God's, right?
But we push the autopilot button.
We do. We do.
We don't listen for correction. We don't listen for direction change. It's like having the nav on, but having it muted.
So we talked about this last night in 1 Corinthians, right? That exact thing. We talked about Paul needing to correct the Corinthians on what they were doing, right? And we said, listen, you can get defensive immediately, or you can listen to things with a heart to like, I don't have to like this. It doesn't feel good, but I need to adjust. I need to make a change, right? Again, the rebuke of a friend is good, is what the Bible tells us. The correction of a brother is good, right? Why? Because the correction of a brother just gets us thinking, could I do life better, right? And the answer to that is, yeah. Yep. The Bible tells us we're to put the interest of others first, right? We're always to be thinking about how can I help this person or that person. That's what Joseph had to do, right? Joseph was asked by God to put the interest of God and of Mary ahead of his own, much to his demise. It would have cost him. It would have cost him business. It would have cost him credibility. It would have cost his reputation. It would have cost integrity. It would have cost him a lot of human things to follow what God said, right? But having that ability to listen to somebody who loves us say something, and us not getting hurt by what they're saying, right? Even if it hurts, but listening to what they're saying and saying, hey, I need to course correct here. There is something I can work here on. There is some truth here. I need to look at this at the way somebody else is looking at things, right? Because again, God didn't say to Mary, right, give everybody around you the middle finger and be, prideful about what I'm asking you to do in any way, shape, or form. Mary was humble. She came riding into Bethlehem on a donkey. That's humility, right? We need to make sure that when we're following our plans, that we're lining up with God. God's going to order the steps to get to our plan, right? He doesn't give us the destination and then say, figure it out. He gives us the destination sometimes.
No, but we do it anyway.
That's it. He gives us the destination.
We're so wise.
Well, you might be.
No, definitely not.
I am not very wise.
In moments, sure.
But I think that's where evil comes in, right? There are people who convince themselves of things. And then they devise a plan based on what they've decided is the truth. And God says that's not truth. Your plan isn't righteous. Your plan isn't good. Right? And so that's where he says, I'm even going to take the evil. The evil people do the exact same thing, but I'm going to take that and I'm going to use it for my purpose. Right? I'm going to use it for my plan. Now, that does not mean that evil people don't do evil things. Yeah. It doesn't mean that God always intervenes at the last second and stops evil from happening. Right? We should be deeply saddened by the evil that we feel and the evil that we see.
Oh, yeah. I would hope so.
But sometimes we're not. Right? We keep waiting for God to come in and save the day. But like you said, sometimes he gives us over to his own things.
Well, and like I said, like, I don't know, a week ago, like, he gives us power to fix these things.
Yep.
Half of it's stuff that we made, and he's like, okay, well, you fix it.
Yep. Absolutely. Right? You have the way to take care of that. That he talks about in verses 16 and 17. So are you going to read through to there, or are you going to skip to that?
I'll read through.
Beautiful.
A divine sentence is in the lips of the king. His mouth transgresseth not in judgment. A just weight and balance are the Lord's. All the weights of the bag are his work. It is an abomination to kings to commit wickedness, for the throne is established by righteousness. Righteous lips are the delight of kings, and they love him that speaketh right. The wrath of a king is as messengers of death, but a wise man will pacify it. In the light of the king's countenance is life, and his favor is a cloud of the latter rain. How much better is it to get wisdom than gold, and to get understanding rather to be chosen than silver. The highway of the upright is to depart from evil. He that keepeth his way preserveth his soul.
So that's what we're talking about, right? Like that, the hard work, right? The fighting every day for what God has for us. That's the highway of the righteous, right? Jesus said that road is narrow.
Super narrow.
And the gate at the end of the road?
I say single file sideways. Like scooch, scooch,
Yep.
scooch.
It's a little bit like in the story of Nehemiah where it says he couldn't take his horse in some of the areas, right? You had to get down, you had to walk, right? There's some pretty narrow areas, right? We might start off with a lot of people on this highway, but the righteous man keeps walking on this highway, and I'm guessing that he finds the path not full by the time we get to the end, right? But that's the concept here. When we let God order our paths, when we let God order our steps, when he gets to decide all of that stuff, then we end up living a righteous life. We're on the right highway, but what we gain from it is wisdom.
18 is scary.
Right. So we get wisdom. We're righteous.
That's right.
Right? No, we get wisdom. No. I'm just tying it in, right? Mary and Joseph got wisdom. They got wisdom because Mary pondered all these things. Right? Imagine what a wise woman Mary was by the time Jesus died. By the time the disciples are in the upper room and Pentecost is about ready to come, imagine Mary. Right? Imagine the wisdom that she had gained. She pondered all of this for years and doing all these things and trying to walk the righteous way and saying to God, let it be, and being a willing servant and all of these things that come along with the righteous highway. But always there is the flip side of this. Always there are people who are given the same opportunities. Hey, walk this with me, please walk this with me, can you please walk this with me, walk this with me. They may even agree for a couple steps. But something happens in verse 18 that should scare all of us to death. How we walk is important. That we keep walking is really important. Because 18 says that there's a big pitfall coming, right? What's it say?
Pride goeth before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall.
Care to explain?
It's pretty self-explanatory. I mean, it's just these people that ignore God. Like, I just don't understand. I don't understand. That's all it is. That's all pride is. Like, I don't know. I don't know if Satan just works on them forever or if they're just born with something missing. But, like, I don't know.
There's pride on either side of this equation, isn't there? There are people who are so prideful of their walk with God, they think they're so righteous. They actually literally say the words, well, I would never do that. I would never fall, and I would never fail, and I would never call you that, and I would never accuse you of that, and I would never be that, and I would never do that sin, and I would never experience that. That's pride.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The second that you put, I would always, I would never, it's pride.
Yeah, those words scare me now.
Right? Yeah, and God says a fall's coming. Why? Because you're just setting God up to have to say, really?
That may prove you wrong.
So when you say to me, God would never ask me to do this.
And then you call me tomorrow and say, guess what?
Yeah.
I have to do this.
So I wonder if God would ever ask a young woman to do something way out of bounds of the norm. Oh, wait, yup. I wonder if God would ever take women who are way outside of the bounds and use them. Oh, yup. Right? So the second that we say God would never use a woman, an unrepentant woman who still was heading up prostitution, right? Until the day her city walls fell, the answer would be no. No, God would only use a repentant prostitute.
No, God uses everyone. Let's get that clear.
God would never use a woman who committed adultery with a king for his line. I mean, Jesus would never come from that line. Oh, well, wait, yes. Jesus would never use a foreign shrine prostitute in his line. Oh, wait, yep, he did. Right? Jesus would never use lowly shepherd boys. Jesus would never use whatever. Yeah, no, he would. Because he has. Right? So again, there's this pride of God would never do things. I know it all. God would never do it this way. God would never do it this way.
Well, if you look at the worldly thing with Mary, like, he literally destroyed her reputation in the most dirty way.
Uh-huh.
No one would say that God set that up.
Totally ruined her reputation.
Completely made her look repulsive to everyone. Like
at best, she was a harlot, and at worst, she was a prostitute.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right? Like...
But it's why people didn't respond, right? Part of it was because they knew.
I don't know. God really pushes people really, 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 and I mean the people around her. Like, he really, really, really forces you to have to think and look and dig for truth. Like, I don't know. I get why at times he says, don't ask me for a sign, right? Because he's like, no. Come and get it. Right? Like, he gives them to you all the time. You ignore them. You don't acknowledge how many miracles literally happen on a daily basis in your own life, literally everyone, and you don't acknowledge them. You don't acknowledge them in any way. You're just like, oh, close one. Oh, whatever. Oh, yeah, that's great. Oh, super. Right? Like, and then we want, like, I don't know. I'm just frustrated with everyone, but I'll just stick to, he rewards those who diligently seek him. That's it.
That's the point, right?
You can't, with God, you cannot look at anything for face value. Like, except the simple gospel. That's it. Face value. But in his ways that he's working every day and all those kinds of things, you can't just look on the outside of somebody's life or a situation and be like, oh, this must be what it means. We make so many assumptions about everybody in every scenario without God telling us anything because it looks a certain way.
Yep, exactly.
And that's just ignorant and prideful and stupid, honestly. Like, it's just wrong.
Amen. And I think that's I think that's the Christmas story, isn't it?
Yeah, Merry Christmas.
It really, when you think about the Christmas story, we want to make it all fun. But the Christmas story isn't all fun.
No, it's not fun.
The majority of people were too prideful to recognize.
Jesus' entire existence was not fun.
That's exactly
From
right.
the very beginning to the very end, it was not fun. It was not, like, cushy, whatever. Like, we think that once he was born, people forgot that how he came to be, right? Like we're just supposed to assume that, oh, he's born and everything's normal now.
Yep. And he
Right?
didn't. He didn't.
And then everyone thought it was a joke when he was going around doing, his ministry. So, and then they killed him. None of it was fun.
No, but again.
But that's how we treat God.
God used a
Which
weird
is
way.
insane.
He used a weird way, a way that none of us would expect, to not only introduce his son to the world, but then to have his son go through the world. And then he introduced a really weird conclusion. Right? I'm going to make you go through all of this. You're going to do all this, help all these people, heal people, do this. and then you're going to die, right?
Yeah.
And that is going to be a one-time sacrifice for all. I think we forget the purpose of Bethlehem was the cross. The purpose of Bethlehem was Jerusalem, Golgotha, right? The purpose of Bethlehem was a burial and then a resurrection. That's what the purpose of Bethlehem was. The purpose of Bethlehem wasn't a cool little story that we all go, oh. The purpose of Bethlehem was God's really weird, whacked out, off the grid, right, way of saving the world. And we look through the Old Testament and we see the same thing over and over and over, right? God's really weird, whacked out, unique way of saving his people. Yeah. That's what we want to keep in mind, is that as he orders our step, if there's not some whacked out steps in your plan, you're probably off track.
That's funny, but true.
Yet we fight whacked out steps. And we point out.
They have to be whacked out, because then there's no faith. If they're not whacked out, there's no faith, because it's easy to do easy things that are normal.
Yeah. And we point them out on other people. Like, oh, you must be wrong because that's a whacked out step. Not maybe you're wrong.
I think it's cool.
It's cool if it's from God. It is not cool when whacked out steps are not from God.
Nope.
Those steps and those things are problematic, right?
Yeah.
So I think the key to all of this is we want God to order our steps, and we want to look to him for these things, right? All right, you're gonna wrap up this Christmas edition.
That's enough sadness for our date nights on Christmas Eve.
The good news is
it's not sad for you if you're doing it right. It's not sad for you if you're focused on the right things.
There's a highway of righteousness.
Right.
Choose to walk it.
If you scooch sideways on the narrow path, then it's not sad for you.
Yeah.
So hopefully you're scooching sideways this Christmas Eve. Oh my gosh, we love you guys. Just keep Jesus first. And
is that going to be the title? Scooching sideways?
Scooching sideways. Scooch sideways.
It sounds like a new dance.
Scooch, 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 scooch.
Now that's a really bad picture. We've got Robbie dancing in the background.
Oh, that's sad. Wait, hang on.
Oh, here we go.
Now they can scooch.
Look at that.
Scooch your way to Christmas.
That's fantastic.
Oh my gosh. Well, Merry Christmas, date nighters. We love you. Have a great Christmas Eve with Jesus and whoever you're with.
Amen. And
if it's just you and Jesus, well, then you're with me. So that's what we're doing this year. It's all about Jesus. So we love you guys.
We do.
Right, Andy?
Merry, Merry, Merry Christmas. Except for the Robbie.
And we'll be back on New Year's Eve.
We're going to do a New Year's Eve edition.
Oh, it's Friday this year.
Ooh, we might have to have some surprise guests and a little bit of sparkling grape juice. And
some more blanky shirts.
Yeah, we might have to do this up. A New Year's Eve edition of Friday night. I kind of like it. I like it. Pay attention.
All right. Merry Christmas, date nighters. Adios.